Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're heading to Egypt, but not for like a relaxing vacation or anything like that. We're diving in some pretty disturbing allegations surrounding a company called Xceed. It's based in this place called Smart Village, which is kind of like Egypt's Silicon Valley, a tech hub near Cairo.
Oh, interesting.
Now, all this comes from a YouTube video in Arabic, so we're going to be your translators and guides through this pretty complex story.
Yeah, that's right. The video is from a channel called LeVREA.
Okay.
And it claims there's something rotten going on at Xceed. They even call it the call center mafia.
Okay, mafia. That sounds pretty intense.
Yeah.
What exactly are they accusing this company of doing?
Well, the video alleges that a manager at Xceed is using company resources and influence to run a criminal enterprise, like going way beyond, typical corporate misconduct.
So not just like fudging some numbers or cutting corners, we're talking about serious criminal activity.
That's what the video claims.
Wow.
And it gets even wilder. They allege that this operation reaches far beyond Xceed, influencing hiring and firing across various industries in Egypt. So think of it like a shadow organization, kind of controlling the professional lives of countless young Egyptians.
Wow. That's a pretty bold claim.
Yeah.
But how do they supposedly exert this much control? What kind of tactics are we even talking about?
Well, the video describes a systematic approach to silencing dissent and controlling the narrative. Imagine this. You speak out against something you see as wrong at Xceed.
Right.
Suddenly rumors start spreading about you, maybe about your personal life, your finances, even your mental health.
It's like a smear campaign.
Yeah.
Trying to ruin someone's reputation so no one will believe them.
Exactly. The video claims that this alleged mafia uses these tactics to discredit anyone who dares to challenge them.
Right.
And it creates this atmosphere of fear, making people think twice before speaking up.
And they supposedly use a department called People Solutions as part of this.
Right.
Kind of ironic considering the name.
It is quite ironic, yeah. The video claims that this department, which is usually meant to help employees, is actually used as a tool for further manipulation. So imagine, being sent to People Solutions for advice or support, only to be labeled as mentally unstable and essentially silenced.
That's chilling. So they're using a resource meant to help people as like a weapon against them.
That's the allegation. It's a disturbing twist on a seemingly benign corporate structure, but the video doesn't stop there.
Okay.
The creator claims that even the country leader of the company, we assume someone in a very high position, was manipulated by this group.
Well, hold on. They're alleging the top brass is involved, or at least being manipulated. That raises the stakes considerably.
It does, and the video creator promises to reveal more about this in a future video, leaving us with a bit of a cliffhanger. But what we've heard so far already paints a pretty unsettling picture.
Definitely unsettling. We've gone from allegations of corporate misconduct to claims of a widespread network controlling people's lives. This call center mafia, if it even exists, sounds like something straight out of a spy thriller.
It does have that element of intrigue, and while it's important to remember that these are just allegations at this point, the very possibility of such a network existing is a stark reminder of the potential for power to be misused, especially within a system that seems designed to protect those in control.
Absolutely. So where do we go from here? What else did we learn from the video, and how do we make sense of all this? Welcome back to our deep dive into the allegations surrounding Xceed and this so-called call center mafia in Egypt. We left off with the video creator promising to share more about their personal experience and how the company's country leader was allegedly manipulated. Did they deliver on that promise?
Well, not exactly. The video doesn't really go into specifics about the whole country leader situation, so that's kind of still a mystery for now.
Okay, that's a little disappointing, but I guess that's how they keep us hooked for more. But we did learn some pretty disturbing things about their alleged tactics, like spreading rumors, using People Solutions to discredit people. What else did the video reveal about how this whole operation supposedly works?
Well, the video claims that it goes beyond just kind of whispering in the shadows. They allege this group orchestrates events to make people look bad, to actually create problems in their lives.
Orchestrate events. That sounds almost too elaborate. Can you give us an example?
Sure. Let's say they want to discredit a woman working at one of these companies. They might start a rumor that she's having an affair.
Okay.
And then they go a step further and create a situation that makes it seem true.
So they're not just talking, they're actively trying to sabotage people's lives. That's taking manipulation to a whole new level.
Yeah, and the video suggests they use their connections and influence to do this. They might get someone fired from their job, spread rumors to ruin their social standing, even try to isolate them from their family and friends.
But why go to all this trouble? What's the motive behind this elaborate scheme?
The video doesn't really explicitly lay out a clear motive. It focuses more on the how, like the methods and the impact. But there's this strong implication that the goal is all about maintaining control, silencing dissent, protecting their interests.
It's almost like they're trying to create a climate of fear where anyone who even thinks about speaking out knows that they'll be targeted.
That's a really important point, yeah. The video really emphasizes how fear and silence are crucial to how this whole alleged operation functions.
Right.
By discrediting and isolating anyone who might speak up, they make others just too afraid to come forward.
So it's like a vicious cycle then, isn't it? The more people they silence, the more power they have.
Exactly.
But how do they...
It comes in. The video claims they have this vast network of informants and collaborators, people who are either actively helping them or just too afraid to resist.
So they've created a system where everyone is watching each other, suspicious of everyone, afraid to trust anyone. That sounds incredibly isolating and paranoid.
That's exactly the kind of environment the video describes, one where suspicion and paranoia are just the norm. It becomes almost impossible to know what's real and what's been fabricated.
Okay, but I have to ask, is there any evidence to back up these claims? Or is this just one person's word against a powerful organization?
That's the challenge with this type of story, The video itself doesn't present any hard evidence to support the allegations. It relies heavily on the creator's personal account and anecdotal evidence.
So we're left to wonder, is this a genuine expose of a deeply corrupt system? Or is there more to the story? Is the creator exaggerating or maybe driven by some personal vendetta?
That's the key question. And that's why it's so crucial to approach these claims with a healthy dose of skepticism, recognizing that there's always the potential for bias and ulterior motives.
Yeah, it's easy to get swept up in a compelling narrative, especially when it involves allegations of this magnitude. But we need to remember that there are always multiple sides to every story.
Exactly. And while the video offers this disturbing glimpse into a potential underbelly of corporate culture and social manipulation in Egypt, we need to be cautious about accepting these claims as fact without further evidence.
So what can we take away from this deep dive, even if some of the details remain unconfirmed?
I think there are still some valuable lessons to be learned here. This story, regardless of its ultimate veracity, highlights the importance of critical thinking, media literacy, and understanding the tactics that can be used to manipulate and control individuals and societies.
We'll be back in part 3 to explore those broader implications in more detail. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive. We've been unraveling these unsettling allegations from Egypt about Sion and this call center mafia. Claims of corporate corruption and manipulation, and this whole system designed to silence anyone who speaks out.
Yeah.
It's a heavy topic, and I don't know about you, but it kind of leaves me wondering what to make of it all.
It really does. And, while the video we've been discussing doesn't offer concrete evidence to support every claim, I think the story itself raises these important questions that go beyond this one company or even just this one country,
That's what I keep coming back to. Even if some details of this particular case turn out to be exaggerated or untrue, what can we learn from this that applies to all of us? What are the broader takeaways that we can carry with us?
I think one crucial takeaway is how manipulation can work in these subtle, insidious ways. It's not always about outright threats or force. It can be about creating a culture of fear where people are afraid to speak up, afraid to trust each other.
Right, like in the video, where they describe everyone being suspicious of everyone else, always looking over their shoulder. That kind of environment would be exhausting to live in.
Absolutely. And that's why I think it's so important to be able to recognize the signs of manipulation. It's about being aware of the tactics that can be used to control information, discredit individuals, and ultimately silence dissent,
So what can we do to protect ourselves from this kind of manipulation, whether it's happening in our workplaces or our communities, or even in the media we consume?
Well, I think it starts with developing those critical thinking skills. We need to learn how to evaluate information, question sources, consider different perspectives. It's not just about absorbing what we're told, but about being able to analyze and interpret it for ourselves.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like being a detective. looking for clues, weighing the evidence, not jumping to conclusions.
Exactly. And part of that is also being aware of our own biases, right? I mean, we all come to information with our own preconceived notions, and those biases can influence how we interpret what we see and hear.
So it's not just about being critical of the information itself, but also being critical of our own reactions to it.
Precisely, yeah. It's about recognizing that we might be susceptible to manipulation, especially when information aligns with our existing beliefs or fears.
This deep dive has really highlighted the importance of media literacy. Being able to decipher the information that comes at us from all directions, especially in today's world, where everyone has a platform and misinformation can spread like wildfire.
Oh, absolutely. It's more important than ever to be discerning consumers of information. We need to be able to separate fact from fiction, identify biases, and think for ourselves.
Yeah. This whole conversation has been a bit of a wake-up call for me. It's a reminder that we can't just passively accept everything we're told, no matter how convincing it might sound. We need to stay engaged, ask questions, and be willing to challenge the status quo.
And it's a reminder that we all have a role to play in creating a culture where truth matters, where dissent is respected, and where people feel safe to speak up without fear of being silenced.
That's a really powerful message. And on that note, we'd love to hear from you, our listeners. What are your thoughts on this deep dive? What resonated with you? What questions do you still have?
Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. And most importantly, don't be afraid to speak your truth.
Until next time.